I want to kind of talk to you about your experiences as a chiropractor. And the main purpose is there's a lot of young chiropractors and people graduating from chiropractic school who uh, have been taught very well from a clinical point of view, but don't understand about the challenges of running a chiropractic business as well. So what we want to do is, we are trying to talk to, experienced and successful chiropractors like yourself. So we could share those experiences with some of the up and coming chiropractic uh, classes. So maybe, to get started, we can talk a little bit about yourself, right? So first of all, welcome to this podcast. I'm Sukhi, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of zHealth. I want to learn a little bit about what got you into chiropractic.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it, and thank you for your wonderful product. We have been very, very happy with what you put together.
Good to hear. Very good to hear.
So I don't know about, so my story with chiropractic is a little different than a lot of people's.
Okay.
At least as far as I know. When I was originally going to be a high school biology teacher, and I wanted to do my student teaching, and the person I did my student teaching under said that if she had it to do all over again, she would not be a teacher, that she loved it in the early days, but it's changed so much. So she kind of encouraged me to get a PhD and teach college. And so I went to my microbiology teacher. I decided to get a PhD in marine biology and teach college. So I went to my micro teacher from undergrad and said, "Hey, will you write me a letter of recommendation to get a PhD in marine biology?" And he said, "No." And I was like, "What?" And he goes, "There are 200 cab drivers in Washington, D.C. with PhDs in marine biology. I'm not going to let you be number 201. You come back when you have something that's worthwhile." And I left there like, "What?"
Wow.
So I kind of fiddled around for a little bit. I thought I might be want to
And
be a,
and
oh, go
sorry to
ahead.
interrupt. What around what year was this?
This would have been 1995 or beginning of 1996.
Got it. Okay.
And so, yeah, I kind of piddled around for a little bit. It would have been 95 at that point. And I was trying to decide what I wanted to do. And I thought maybe I want to be a medical doctor. So I was working in a liquor store at the time, and I was talking to a lot of MDs came in the liquor store. So I talked to them about their jobs, and they all hated their jobs. They said due to managed care and insurances and such, they couldn't practice the way they wanted to. They couldn't take care of their patients the way they wanted to. And that wasn't what I wanted to do for my life. And so I'm a musician, and there was a blues bar near where I lived. And we'd go to see blues bands every Thursday night. And one night I'm standing in the back of the bar, just kind of bouncing around with the blues band. And a friend of mine's father was a chiropractor. I'd never met him. I never said the word probably 3 times in my life. But in the middle of the song, I just stopped and I was like, "I want to be a chiropractor." And I turned to my friend and I was like, "Can you hook me up with a meeting with your dad? And so I can talk to him about this profession." And he was like, "Sure." So he hooked up the meeting, and I went to this guy's place, and he talked to me for 2 hours. Afterwards, I got back in my car, sat there for a second, and thought, I have no idea what that guy was talking about. But I also decided I had never been in the presence of a more intelligent human being in my life. And if somebody that smart was that passionate about something, there had to be something to it. So I went home, I applied to college and packed up my stuff and moved to Atlanta. And that was the beginning of me being a chiropractor.
Oh,
I,
wow.
I knew nothing about it. I had never been to one, nothing. I just decided that this is what I was going to do.
Wow. That's an amazing story. That's very different. That's very unique. Oh my God.
Yeah, histology class, which was one of the first classes I had. Um, I was sitting there, and at that time, my hair was really long, and I had a big goatee and everything else. And everybody, the teacher said, "I want you to stand up, state your name, where you're from, and why you want to be a chiropractor." And I'm sitting there listening, and there's people with wonderful stories. Like, I was so messed up, and I went to a chiropractor, and they changed my life, and I decided I wanted to do that. And then there were people that were like, oh, I'm in it for the money. And, I ran the gambit.
Sure.
And there I am. I stood up and said, hi, my name's Mike Harpold. I'm from Frostburg, Maryland. And I was in a blues bar one night and it just popped into my head. So here I am. And I sat back down and nobody talked to me for months.
Oh my
So
God, that's funny. Oh my God, wow, wow. So how was, chiropractic school for you then?
it was it was awesome. Me having a biology background and everything else, I got to just walk right in. I didn't
Hmm.
realize that in chiropractic school, so many of the other students had been together taking prerequisites.
Sure.
So they always already had relationships, and I didn't really know them. And so I found it to be honestly, I found it to be very easy because the educational background I had in the school that I went to really prepared me very well without knowing they were preparing me for chiropractic school. So I had a lot of good foundation. But yeah,
Got it.
a lot of good
And
information.
when did you graduate from chiropractic school?
Oh, it was either 2000, I guess it would have been 2000.
Okay.
Yeah, I always
Dot
forget.
com those days.
It's been a while.
All right, all right. And so it's the year 2000, you finished chiropractic school. What do you decide to do next?
So, how much of this story do you actually want? It gets
All
really
of this.
complicated. So, I was head bouncer of a large concert venue during chiropractic school down in Atlanta. And a girl who was also in chiropractic school was hired to take tickets. And so she and I started talking and we started hitting it off. And we ended up dating. And so through this, that, and the other thing, um, we ended up being a couple. And she was from Canada and I was from here in the States. And we were also going to be having a baby. And so it kind of came down to where do we go that we have some family to help us with raising a
Mhm.
baby? And the way the American dollar was versus the Canadian dollar, going to Canada, it would take us twice as long to pay off our loans. So we picked the United States. And there was a chiropractor in my hometown. I never really met him, but I contacted him and he said, sure, come work for me. And I did that for about 2 months and decided that we were very different in our approaches to what we felt healthcare was. Um, that particular gentleman, and everybody has their own way to measure their success. He measured it in how much face paper he used by the idea that the more face paper he went through, that was the more people he was seeing. So therefore, the more successful his practice was. And that
Mm.
wasn't how I looked at things. So I went home one day and I said to my wife at the time, do you want to be rich or do you want to be happy and comfortable? And she said, I think I can do happy and comfortable. And I was like, I got to quit because I can't live this way. If other people can start a business, so can I. It's not reinventing the wheel. And I said, I can do this on my own. And so that's how my office started. I didn't realize how big the ball was that you have to roll uphill to start a
Sure.
business. But
Wow.
yeah, everything falls into place.
Got it, got it. So this is probably around the year 2000, 2001 when you decided to go on your own?
Yeah, it was May the 11th of 2001 because it was the day before my daughter was born. So that's
Oh,
always nice
wow.
to quit your job before you have your first child.
Wow, wow, wow. Incredible. Incredible timing. All right. So you decide to open your clinic. And so how was that? How was the first month? Was the clinic full in the first month? What was it as you anticipated it to be or expected it to be? Was it different? How was the beginning of opening a clinic like?
So it took about 3 months to get it off the ground, getting loans and all that kind of good stuff to get a place and find a place. Um, I was blessed because those couple of months that I spent with that chiropractor, patients from that office really got an attachment to me. So over that period of 3 months, they found out where I lived and they
Sure.
started coming to my house to see if they could get adjusted. Of course, we weren't in network with any insurances or anything like that. So during that period of time where we had no income, these patients were coming out of the woodwork bringing us casseroles and
Wow.
different things. So we ended up living that period of time off of the good nature of the patients, and I would adjust them, and they would feed us basically.
Sure. Wow.
So that gave me a little bit of a base when we
Hmm.
opened. I think the first week we saw 16 people. The next week it was 32. The next week it was 64. it just kept exponentially increasing right from the very beginning. So we were very blessed.
Wow. Wow. And what do you think caused that? Was it because you were trying to work, like figure out some marketing efforts? Was it referrals? Uh, were you doing something specific? Like how did it like grow from 16 to 32 to 64? That seems like a pretty good growth rate right there.
Word of mouth,
Word of mouth.
word of mouth. It was all the spirit that I come from in this is taking care of the people and actually
Hmm.
being genuine. The dollar figures, all that other stuff, farthest thing from my mind. It was making people's lives better. And I believe in this town that we live in, this small kind of town, that genuine sort of aspect of caring really kind of made people go, hell, you got to go see these people. What a great job. And people were very happy with us right off the bat. So I believe that that led to the success. We didn't really do any marketing.
Okay.
I still really don't do any marketing. It's just word of mouth over all these years. Um, but again, we're in a unique microcosm of the entire county only has 70,000 people in it.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's the kind of place where my waiting room, HIPAA, which is very important, doesn't exist because, oh, hey, cousin, hey, sister, everybody in the waiting room already knows each other. Um, it's a different sort of environment that I'm coming from, but
Got it, got it. And you're still at the same clinic?
yes, I the original clinic. I moved like a mile and a half away at one point so that I
Okay.
could open up. I wanted to open up a gym for the patients, and I wanted to
Okay.
expand services into other things like infrared saunas, ionic foot baths, different things that I couldn't do in my original space.
Got it. Got it. Very nice. Wow. Um, so you've been running the clinic now for about 24 years.
Yes, sir.
Uh, and what are some of the challenges that you encountered during the last 24 years that come to mind?
The only thing that I've ever found challenging is just keeping up with the latest laws and bylaws that insurance companies hit you with,
Okay.
adapting to how they change, and not fighting it because there's no way to fight it. You're either in or you're out. You got to play by the rules. So
Sure.
you can either get angry or you can learn how to work within that system. And so that's been the biggest challenge is you work under a certain system for a couple of years and then they're like, hey, we're changing all the rules on you, and having to like
Sure.
step back and figure out how you're going to continue to make your living with their new set of, of rules. Um, I would say that has been the only challenge. That's the only part of practice that makes me go, everything else is just kind of wonderful.
Got it, got it. And your practice, your patient mix, insurance versus cash, personal injury, kind of what's that mix there?
I would say overall it's about 60-40 insurance versus cash.
Okay,
PIs occasionally make maybe two a month, so a very small percentage out of PI.
got it, got it. All right. And you were accepting insurance the entire 24 years?
Yes, sir.
Got it. All right. And so with so you have a pretty uh, 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 pretty good set of patients you've been seeing for probably many years. What do you think matters for patients who come to see you, and why do they keep coming back to you?
You start to build relationships with people if you really look at the depth of it. Um, well, first of all, I guess stepping back, getting them more well.
Right,
That's
right.
really very important. And the difference, though, I believe, between just coming in, going through the motions is getting to know people, getting to create relationships. There's people that have been coming into me for 23, 24 of those years, and their families come, and now their grandchildren come. And I've seen kids grow up in this practice, and kids that started out in the practice that are now chiropractors because of the experiences that they've had here.
Hmm.
Those sort of things. It's the relationships that you build, treating people like they're part of your family rather than just a number, rather than, as some of the insurances call them, as metrics, which I
Right.
hate that term. It's about their people. And do you care about them? If you do, they will realize that and they will want to be around you.
Got it. Got it. Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. Now, with regards to your, the way you treat. Do you focus on certain techniques? What's your way of treatment, right? What works with different kinds of patients that you treat?
It's very nice that you ask it that way, because that's a something I learned in chiropractic school is the bigger your toolbox, the more different techniques you can learn, different things are going to work better or worse for different people. And so you can kind of cater what you do to what the patient's needs are. So there's about 20 different techniques that I've learned. And then I mix and match. There's probably about a half a dozen that are my core techniques that I mix and match from, um, to try to make sure that the care I'm giving is not cookie cutter. It's what this particular individual needs. And then in addition to that, a great working knowledge of nutrition, of other adjuncts like the non-thermal laser therapy, certain things that I've been able to introduce to the practice that have made very large impacts in people's lives at times, I believe is the best way. Just having a big toolbox, not being like, oh, my way is the only way, being open to other ideas as you go.
Got it. Got it. All right. And how did you learn some of, or how did you develop your toolbox, right? So, whether you mentioned nutrition, you mentioned laser therapy. So, how did you acquire these tools?
Seminars, lots
Oh,
and
okay.
lots of seminars. I really like learning. And so this whole Zoom thing that we're doing is so new to me, because this is one-on-one, being in a space with a human being is so much more my style.
Right.
But yeah, actually actively going to seminars, paying attention,
Hmm.
learning what I could gain from different seminars. Some seminars were lemons. I only got a couple little tidbits. Some seminars were just completely life changing. And
Hmm.
just being open to what, even if you don't think you like what somebody has to say, being open to it, because you never know when that little zinger is going to hit you in the brain and make you go, oh, Mrs. Johnson has that problem. There's something new I need to learn to help Mrs. Johnson.
Right, right, right. Got it, got it, got it. All right. So you were actually paying attention in those seminars.
Yes, yeah. So, and one of the things I tell, so I've had so many kids come through that decide they want to be chiropractors on their own. One of the things I always try to tell them is school teaches you how to take tests. They
Hmm.
have to instill the information in you so you can be a good test taker, so you can pass your boards and get into practice. You will get a foundation of clinical information you need, but the stuff that you're going to use on a day-to-day basis very likely is going to come from the stuff you learn after school, the stuff that you get from seminars, the stuff that you follow pathways and learn new information that was not part of, you must do this, this, and this to pass this test. And so I would say, outside of somebody coming in with some disease that I haven't heard of since clinic and it pinging something in my brain, the majority of everything I've done in practice has been things that I've learned since graduating.
Wow, that's incredible. That's wow, that's really good. What are some like if you don't mind, me asking, like, what are some of the seminars that you have really found value or learned a lot, and that's why you're like, okay, if I'm going to go to maybe two seminars a year or three seminars a year, right? I can't go to everyone. I definitely want to go to these ones, right? Do you have some of those kind of seminars that stick out
Am
for
I
you?
allowed to like say names?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Dan Murphy. There's
Okay.
a chiropractor named Dan Murphy who is very famous in nutrition world, whiplash world, neurology world. I was blessed to see him speak before I graduated,
Oh,
and
okay.
he lit my passion for nutrition. I consider him a mentor and to some extent a friend at this point. The information that I've gained in his seminars over the years has not only enriched my practice on its own, but taken me in so many different ways of, oh, Dan talked about this. I need to look into it on my own so I can learn as much as possible about it. So I always hope that every chiropractor is going to have people like that are going to spark their interest. The lasers that I do, there's a chiropractor named Jeff Spencer, who was the chiropractor for Lance Armstrong, the cyclist.
Yeah, yeah.
And I got to learn a lot under him back in the early 2000s. The man was brilliant, and he was able to teach us the stuff that he did with Lance Armstrong and the other chiropractors, excuse me, the other cyclists on the Tour de France. And it was awesome. The only bummer was when Lance went down for the blood doping scandal, suddenly
Sure.
nobody wanted to go see Jeff Spencer anymore.
Interesting.
So Jeff's information didn't change at all. Jeff's
Right.
presentation didn't change at all. But suddenly, because his name was tied to Lance Armstrong, people weren't using him. And again, he was somebody that made me go, wow, these lasers are awesome. It's amazing. 10 seconds that I can turn a new nerve root on that's been down for who knows how long. Um, the laser seminars that I then went to from that initial thing with Jeff, a company called Erconia, which I
Hmm.
have pretty much every laser that has been available to me. The investment that I have in that company from the products that I purchased is due to the commitment they have to the profession and to increasing the knowledge base and the research to bring us a higher level of being accepted. I mean, the amount of FDA market clearances that that company has gotten for their lasers is unreal. And when they do something, they don't just release it. They're like, okay, we have to do the research to prove that this does this rather than just putting it in the marketplace, which is something that me, from a science standpoint, I really appreciate. And so definitely that's just a small bit of things, but those have been ones that have really stood out, that have created pathways that have led to a lot of being able to help people with stuff I otherwise would not have been able to.
Got it. Got it. All right. Um, let's talk a little bit about technology. How would you rate your, how would you describe yourself as like a very technically savvy person? You would adopt technology quickly, or how would you describe that?
Well, to tell a little secret, last time we tried to do this meeting, I couldn't get the camera to pop up because, and you had to, so I had to adjust some things in my office and such just to be able to use that technology because it's things that I don't do. Um, I am not a computer programmer, but I know how to email. So,
Okay. All right. That's
so not
fair.
super tech savvy as far as like this is my first Zoom meeting ever because it's just again, but I think that comes from me being a people person.
Sure. Right. Completely understandable. And you're not alone in that, right? A lot of the chiropractors, I speak with, they are extremely, powerful when it comes to clinical expertise, treating, healing people. But at the same time, they might not be technologically very advanced, right? Um, so you have used our software for over 3 years now. What made you choose zHealth?
John,
Oh, okay.
met him at Parker out in
Okay.
Vegas a couple years ago. We had a competitor before, and they were difficult and tedious and not very easy to communicate with. And John's personality and everything else, when talking to him at Parker, we just really, I felt a good connection to him. And I felt that what he was saying to me mattered and it was real. It was from the heart. It wasn't just, hey, come with us. So we'd like your money and then you'll never hear from us again.
Sure.
And I did not make it easy on him.
Hmm.
Our communications going into this, I really picked apart every little nuance of what about this? What about this? How about this? Why do I have to sign this? And what kind of rights? And I explained a lot of different reasons from why I was coming from the standpoint that I was, but he was so good to work with and he just kind of walked through every step of the way. Um, so he was a big part of why I picked zHealth. I liked the features. I liked the fact that I could be able to customize. At that point, the customization was not up to where it is now. You guys
Right.
are constantly innovating, and I really appreciate that. But yeah, I'd say between all the different companies I talked to, that gentleman's personality and how he came across as a person was why I chose this company.
That's very interesting because it kind of resonates with what you mentioned earlier. You're a people person, right? So as you're picking software, also you are looking for the person as well, and
Absolutely.
their level of integrity. Are they actually being being real about it or not? So a great story. Now, let's talk a little bit about your patients, right? So, who should like what kind of a patient like come to you? Who should look for you? When should somebody try to find you?
Anytime they want to make a positive change in their life,
All right.
whether it be strictly my butt hurts, or whether it be my kids got colic, or whether it be, hey, I've got all these stressors going on in my life and it's really wearing on me. Different techniques that I have in my tool bag kind of approach all those things differently. And again, as a patient needs it. So anyone with anything they've ever come to me with, I've at least tried to make an effort to help them, or at least point them in a direction if it was outside of the scope of what I could do.
Hmm.
Um, Point them in a direction that I felt would be helpful to them and not harmful. Like, just not like, oh, here, do this, this, and this could be a good avenue for you. Um, so yeah, I've run the gambit of patients and reasons why they come.
Got it. Got it. Do you have any stories about any patients that you'd like to share, wherein you were able to make a positive difference to their overall well-being, right? Anything that comes to mind without having to share the patient's name, of
Oh,
course.
absolutely. Um, there was a gentleman years ago. So, of course, with chiropractic, the whole D.D. Palmer story with Harvey Lillard and all that we all hear and learn. I think for a lot of people, when we're students and we're kind of skeptical and we're kind of this and we're kind of that, it's like, oh, yeah, okay, we've been told that. How did that happen?
Hmm.
And so I had a gentleman who had been a patient and he progressively lost his hearing. He had been a victim of Agent Orange when he was in the military in Vietnam and different things like that. And so a lot of chemical stresses to his body over time, as well as the physical stresses and everything else. And at one point, he was just stone cold deaf. He couldn't hear anything. His wife had to communicate with him by writing.
Oh, wow.
And she approached me with this, and not from a standpoint of what can you do, but where do you think we should go? And I was
Hmm.
like, bring him in. Let's find out. And so I did some of the techniques that I do with him. In particular, in this case, one called bioenergetic synchronization technique, which was a very, very different technique than a lot of the stuff that we learn. And I did my technique with him, and I was just like, okay, we'll see you in a couple days. He came back in a couple days later, and his wife told me that he can now hear a thing called a Jake brake, which is a brake on a truck that goes very deep, low resonant
Yeah.
sound. So he still couldn't hear, but there were deep sounds like his well pump coming on and off, and those sounds of the brakes, deep vibrational things that he could hear. And I was like, well, that's cool. I do my thing again. And I was like, so how do you feel? And he goes, great. And I went, did you hear me? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, whoa. And so I was like, cool, see you in a couple days. And he left, and I closed my door and I cried because I was just like, wow.
Wow.
And again, I myself going into that, I go into all these things with no expectations. I
Sure.
want to make sure I have no expectations because I don't want to let the patient down. I don't want to let me down. I want to let
Right.
things happen as they happen. And so that's not the only deafness story that I have, but it's amazing to me where, like, the one time as a kid, I didn't even know she was deaf. And her siblings were like, she couldn't hear. And we were whispering about stuff out in the waiting room after you saw her, and she could hear us.
Huh.
And I was just like, oh, well, that's cool. See you in a couple days. And then I close the door and cry. Because I know that it's not me doing these things. It's their body being able to heal when it's able to work right.
Sure,
And so
right, right, right. Wow, wow, those are incredible stories. Always love to hear these kind of stories, and we as a overall profession need to do a better job at letting these stories be out more, shared more with other people, so more people become aware of the benefits of chiropractic. Now, related question. So, some people think, that they should visit a chiropractor only when they are in pain. What's your take on that?
I think the patient is the best person to decide for themselves. I always look at things from a wellness standpoint. I want every time somebody comes into my office to bring them closer to their ultimate wellness potential. Everyone has a different potential, but I also feel very strongly about the individual's right to choose how they want their care. So people who are like, hey, my foot hurts. Hey, my foot doesn't hurt. I'll call you when my foot hurts again. That's cool with me. And
Mhm.
people that I've developed these relationships with, they're like, hey, I don't get sick like I used to. I don't this, I don't that. And they attribute it to what's gone on with them chiropractically. That's phenomenal to me also. But I always, again, I want to keep an open mind. I've heard stories from patients that took things from a completely symptom based thing. My back hurts, now my back doesn't hurt. Well, we as chiropractors know their back isn't healed yet. There's still stuff going on, but all they're doing is feeling what's going on in their cortex. You can explain that to some people, you can't explain it to others. I don't ever want to dissuade somebody from coming in because they don't necessarily get my wellness idea.
Got it. Got it. Yep.
So
Makes sense. Makes sense. All right. Well, now, what are you doing when you're not adjusting patients? What do you do for fun? Are you still in music? Like, what's going on?
I play music. I have a 130-acre farm that I do a lot of. I love landscaping. That's like one of my big passions. So moving large rocks around and creating spaces, um, raising koi fish and Labradors and all that kind of fun stuff.
Wow. Wow. All right. So you're a busy person.
Yeah, I try to keep active. That's one thing that always blows my mind is when a patient, and this is completely, when a patient comes in, I'm like, hey, what are you going to do this weekend? I'm going to sit on the couch and watch TV. I'm like, how do you do that? There's so much stuff.
Yep. Right. I hear you. Um, Now, kind of final closing questions. Um, where do you see yourself and your practice in the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, I quote unquote retired last year.
Oh,
And
wow.
so, yeah, I always worked 5 days a week. My retirement is I now work 4 days a week. I took Thursdays off. I took my Thursday hours and spread them into my Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. So I still work the same number of hours, but I will recommend to anybody out there if you can take a Thursday off, it's awesome because you get 2 Fridays every week because now Wednesday becomes Friday
Oh,
and Friday's Friday. And so you start your work week basically on Wednesday because Monday is now Wednesday. So you go Sunday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Friday, Saturday, and then the week starts over.
wow.
So I like it for me personally. I like that so much better than everybody's like, why didn't you take a 3 day week, 3 day weekend? I get bored. I love what I do.
Sure.
If I'm away from my office for more than a couple days, my brain's just like, I want to get back to what I do.
Yeah.
Um, Even when I vacation, it's usually 4 days at a time. And then I'm back in the office because I truly love it here. Um, so honestly, that's part of my fun is this. So my retirement plan, I see that running me through the rest of my existence. I truly plan to be found laying dead on the floor of the office someday, and that'll be it for me. Uh, I have no desire to retire ever. The only thing that will be my furtherance of retiring is finally being able to not take insurance and just see people out of pocket. That
Hmm.
is a big goal to not have to spend my time with the amount of information that I have to take in to make sure I'm compliant with everything all the time and making sure my notes are bulletproof. One of the things that I made your poor staff crazy with was my customization because it was very in depth and I felt very bad for them. But I wanted to make sure that the notes that were being created by your system were as bulletproof as possible for anything that ever would come my way, that everything was explained to the nth degree.
Got it. Got it.
So, but again, you and your company have helped me be able to achieve my Thursdays off by me being able to make the notes the way I want them to reflect what I do rather than just some canned sort of nonsense.
Got it. Got it. Well, that's very good to hear. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Um, all right. And any final thoughts for fellow chiropractors who will be listening to this or watching this? You want to share, especially those who are kind of in the early stages of their journey, or maybe thinking about starting a practice. Maybe they're not sure. So, any final words of advice or thoughts for them?
My my easiest one is if I can do it, you can do it. Anyone can make it happen. I believe the biggest thing is just being genuine. There's so many different ways to go about it, and there are so many successful people that have gone about it in all kinds of different ways. Be genuine to yourself first and make sure that what you are doing, the product of yourself that you are putting out there, is your genuine self, because people are going to be able to see through it if you're not being genuine. So if your main goal is their money, come at it from that standpoint. I don't know how to do that,
Yeah.
but you need to be genuine. And if you are genuine, I truly believe anybody can make this happen. There's not a gift to it. There's not an anything else. There's just making sure that you care about those folks. I guess that would be genuine too. If you don't care, tell them. I don't care.
Right.
Lay down on my table. Um, but yeah, just coming from inside of your soul, your good places, to make sure that you're giving the people the best of your service that you can, and the rest is just going to fall into place. Um,
Correct.
yeah, I do very well, but that's never been the motivation. Motivation is how can I help each one of those people, and then that just compounded into what I have as a practice.
Got it. Got it. Well, thank you for sharing that, Dr. Harpal. This was wonderful, and thank you for spending time and sharing your a little bit about your life story, your experiences as a chiropractor. I am confident that this is going to help a number of chiropractors out there uh, who are kind of in their early stages and trying to figure things out. This has been wonderful for us, and we are lucky that we are able to connect with you. And thanks to John for being able to bring you over to zHealth. But looking forward to seeing you in person one of these days, maybe at one of the seminars. That would be wonderful to see you in person. I, like you, I'm old school, so I like doing things in person. I think that's very different than doing things over the small little computer screen. So hopefully we can connect in person as well soon.
Absolutely, that'd be wonderful. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I appreciate this new service that you're doing for people. I think it's very important.
Absolutely. Thank you. All right.